The threat of Zika looms not just over Latin America, but the United States now as well. What's being done to combat the Zika virus? I'm Elaine Reyes in Washington, D.C., and this is America's Now. First up, a virus spread by mosquitoes and linked to brain damage in infants has been declared an epidemic in Latin America. Now health officials are calling it a dire situation in the U.S.
We need to learn everything we can about it as quickly as we can. That's what we're trying to do to the best of our ability.
During our entire stay here in Puerto Rico,
correspondent Jessica Stone reports from Puerto Rico on the acceleration of Zika fear. And then an orchestra in Argentina that plays at hospitals to soothe the suffering of patients. It's led to a campaign across the continent.
We can bring a message of hope, and maybe their body and the problems that they are suffering disappears for a moment.
For this week's Game Changer, meet the founder of Music for the Soul, cellist Jorge Berjero. And later, a marijuana farm in the conservative country of Chile. Correspondent Harris Whitbeck reports on a legally approved plantation that grows medical cannabis for therapeutic uses. Welcome to the show. Whether via mosquito or through sexual transmission, the Zika virus is now working its way across the U.S. mainland. 2 Florida beaches are now reporting local transmissions of the illness. But for months, Puerto Rico has been ground zero for the fight against Zika on American soil. Washington has declared a public health emergency there as the caseload skyrockets. Correspondent Jessica Stone has more on why the fight is so complex from San Juan.
For hundreds of pregnant women across Puerto Rico, a joyful rite of passage is also a scary one.
I always ask about the brain. There's always the worry and unease that everything is okay.
Worry because Ganoshka Rivera is giving birth in the middle of an outbreak of Zika virus. In mid-July, Washington declared a public health emergency here as the numbers of Zika cases topped 10,000, including more than 1,000 expectant mothers. In Brazil, Zika has been linked to more than 1,700 cases of microcephaly, a neurological defect causing abnormally small brains in infants. Puerto Rico has seen 1 diagnosis of microcephaly and 1 Zika-linked death. Dr. Carmen Zaria is teaching Ganoshka and other expectant parents how to protect themselves from the mosquito-borne virus. The hospital distributes Zika prevention kits, complete with insect repellent, water treatment tablets, and condoms. Protection is crucial because only 1 in 5 people infected with Zika will experience symptoms.
We can have the infection and don't know it, and there's no rapid test. They are prioritizing testing people who have symptoms and pregnant women. So anybody who is not pregnant and doesn't have symptoms might not have a test result soon enough. That means prevention needs to happen without us knowing that we have it.
Dr. Zaria shows her patients a map of where the cases are on the island so they know it's in their backyards.
Patients used to say, well, you know, this is an invention. I don't believe this. I have never met anyone with Zika. Until patients with Zika started showing up.
Zika, she says, bears eerie similarities to what she experienced 30 years ago during the HIV epidemic.
I'm reliving my experiences with HIV. Not that it's the same thing. These are different things. But we're dealing with a viral infection that we do not know the outcomes. We cannot predict which baby will have it and which baby will not. There are no treatments.
Whenever we have a new pathogen that emerges into a large population like the Americas, we need to learn everything we can about it as quickly as we can. That's what we're trying to do to the best of our ability here in Puerto Rico.
Dr. Tyler Sharp is the lead epidemiologist at the Centers for Disease Control Dengue branch here. The center tests every pregnant woman once during the first trimester and a second time during the second trimester.
The virus is going to continue to spread. We are not yet at the peak of the outbreak here in Puerto Rico. Additional people are going to be infected. Additional pregnant women are probably going to be infected. So we need to be doing everything. That's we, as in both CDC, the health department, and the population as a whole. We need to be doing everything that we can to prevent additional pregnant women from being infected.
But Puerto Rico is fighting Zika under siege. The island is mired in debt. It defaulted in July. The government has given the island's health department $3.3 million to respond to Zika. Another $4 million has already gone to education, like these billboards. But just 1 year of a comprehensive mosquito control program is estimated to cost as much as $9 million. Meantime, Puerto Rico's health department budget has been slashed by 25% in 4 years and could run out of a major source of funding by the end of next year. An average of 1 doctor a day already leaves the island.
Having a functional and healthy health system here in Puerto Rico is critical to our response. Physicians and clinicians in the community here in Puerto Rico are critical to everything that we do. They are our eyes and ears.
The debt crisis is evident in so much of Puerto Rico's Zika response. It has also meant fewer workers to collect used tires that make ideal incubators for mosquito larvae.
This is the largest concentration of tires we got in Puerto Rico right now.
There are more than 500,000 tires in this warehouse alone. Each day, government officials say 18,000 more are thrown away.
These used tires wouldn't even be here if the Puerto Rican government had had cash flow. When the government stopped paying to dispose of them, they started piling up, and each one is a breeding ground for mosquitoes.
As Zika cases began to creep over the island, the government sprang back into action. Since December, it's collected more than 1.5 million used tires, relying on tire disposal fees to pick up the tab. Puerto Rico is tropical. Standing water, the mosquito's nursery is nearly impossible to eliminate. The debt crisis has driven more than 200,000 people to move off the island, many abandoning their homes in the process. They leave swimming pools and patios to gather water, with no one watching. Paco San Miguel would like to be watching. He's a professional pest control operator.
These dark places underneath the houses are perfect places for them to breed, to mate.
But in February, Puerto Rico implemented a Zika state of emergency. The decision has sidelined around 2,000 private pest control operators like him.
We have a situation that to be able to seal this, first we need the permission.
They now have to apply for additional government permits to fumigate, and too few are being issued.
I have calls at the beginning of this drama every day. Can we do this at a shopping center that we're serving? No. Can we do this at a pharmaceutical company around the areas of? No.
Paco says he applied for a permit in March, but still doesn't have one.
We were set aside, we're benched right now.
Government officials say they know there are private pest control operators who are willing to join them in the fight. Would you benefit from having those 2,000 people helping you spray?
Bueno, si estuvieran, claro.
Yes, of course. If they do it adequately, responsibly, and the way it should be, it would be a help for the control of mosquitoes.
With private contractors off the front lines, it's become the island's emergency management agency's job to coordinate Puerto Rico's mosquito control efforts. Agency Director Oscar Sotomayor has overseen building collapse rescues and hurricane preparations, but has never been in charge of a battle against a bug. Does the Department of Emergency have any mosquito expertise?
We have to learn.
Oscar also acknowledges it is a battle made more difficult because Puerto Ricans fear pesticides. There are regular protests like this one outside government offices. The government limits fumigation in part to protect people from overspraying.
In Puerto Rico, they don't like a lot of sprayhations.
Puerto Ricans don't like a lot of spraying?
No.
So this map you get every week?
Every week, every Friday.
So the department only fumigates where Zika cases have already been identified. There is little to no preventative fumigation. But just west of San Juan, the capital city of Puerto Rico, folks aren't seeing much evidence of any mosquito spraying at all. Have you seen any spraying?
Just here one time.
Despite an island-wide fumigation schedule, we didn't see any spraying either.
During our entire stay here in Puerto Rico, we were unable to film any spraying for mosquitoes. One reason may be weather like this. All this rain, wind, and humidity, experts say, can all limit their ability to do effective spraying for mosquitoes.
You have to take conserve of the weather situation on the island.
Oscar says he's resigned to a long-term fight against Zika, much like other mosquito-borne illnesses which are common here.
Well, I think the Zika stay in the island forever, like dengue, like other diseases, but we have to control them. We have to make our job do it.
But Dr. Zaria wants to completely wipe out the mosquito that carries Zika. She's already charted a doubling of infections among pregnant women in Puerto Rico and fears the future will hold other neurological birth defects, even death, due to Zika.
How many babies with microcephaly do we need to be born to say we need to eliminate this mosquito? 10, 1, 100, 1,000? You tell me the number. We will reach that number.
She is promoting mosquito traps which keep mosquito eggs from hatching and operating her own study of 4 pregnant women, testing them more often than the CDC does for Zika. She knows that with no Zika vaccine and erratic mosquito control, expectant moms like Ganushka face a threat they can't escape.
Realmente es como constante y...
It's a constant worry. It's always there because there are mosquitoes everywhere.
The White House has requested more than $1 billion to fight Zika domestically and internationally. But the U.S. Congress has refused to vote on it. In the meantime, the nation's healthcare system is trying to find extra money it can use to develop a vaccine.
Coming up.
Lifting some suffering spirits with the sound of music.
Songs like O Sole Mio that are well known could bring a memory, a tear or a smile. People let emotion flow, and that to me is healing.
America's Now.
Welcome back to America's Now. In hospital waiting rooms and wards across Argentina, patients are sometimes treated to classical music. A group of musicians from the country's most prestigious orchestra takes the time to bring a moment of relief and a little joy to those who are suffering. Music for the Soul is the name of a movement that's spreading across Latin America. It was started by cellist Jorge Berjero, this week's Game Changer.
I'm grateful of what I'm doing there because I can live doing what I love to do. I play opera. We're very far away from the audience. We don't have eye contact. Sometimes we are playing a long opera and we, get our thoughts go to different places and you know, what we feel is not to be 100% connected. Our profession that sometimes can be a routine. We play in theaters, we do operas and concerts. All of a sudden we realize that what we do professionally, music, can have a different meaning. Eugenia, a professional musician, she was 34 and she was with a very difficult situation, life situation, because she got cancer. And in her last time, we started accompanying her and other people in the same situation with music. I try to find pieces that are short, are well known, to allow a connection between musicians and people themselves. So songs like O Sole Mio that are well known would bring a memory, a tear or a smile. Songs like Nessun Dorma maybe allow a catharsis, in people let emotion flow, and that to me is healing. We were in Peru. There was this very old woman in bed. I was with my cello. The day after, she was going to go to a surgery. She didn't know if she was gonna live after that. She said she was a dancer. She said, but I cannot dance right now because I'm very sick. My hip, and she explained all her problems. And she said, well, I was a professional dancer and I used to dance the swan, for instance. And it's a melody that I play a lot. It's from Saint-Saëns, from the Carnival of Animals. I start playing that song, and she started dancing with her hands. And every time I tell these stories, I have goosebumps because I remember that particular moment, and it was very powerful. We learn with so little. You can have such an incredible direct connection with another human being that you've never met. You are just, you know, with music, with art, you can connect so directly, so in such a powerful way.
It was magic for me. I couldn't believe what I was seeing at the time of the concert. The first thing I can recall is the reaction of the people hearing the sound, hearing the music, and the faces. They were like seeing in awe, contemplation. And I remember I thought, this is powerful, this can change things. The project has the ability to make the people forget about her circumstances. They connect with the music, connect with the musicians, connect between each other. It's just music floating.
You don't need much. It's just musicians that want to perform for free and give what they do to people in institutions that, because of her situation, life situation, cannot go to a theater to listen to them. The way we organize things is trial and error. We don't have a path, we don't have a map to do this. Always the idea is the same, is to bring live music to people with a high level of suffering for different conditions, maybe illness, maybe poverty. So we can bring a message of hope, joy for them, and maybe their body and the problems that they are suffering disappears for a moment.
In one of their most recent concerts, Music for the Soul performed in Ecuador for the victims of the April earthquake that left hundreds dead and thousands homeless. Nearly 2,000 musicians have taken part in concerts as the project grows across Latin America. We'd love to have your input, so if you know someone who's helping change the world, drop us a line at an@cctv-america.com or tweet us at cctv_America and tell us about a game changer you would like to see on America's Now.
Coming up.
A cannabis farm in Chile growing marijuana to medicate.
I can't really say when it started to work, but my daughter noticed and I started feeling better. I started wanting to leave the house and even wanted to walk again.
America's Now.
Welcome back. In Latin America, Chile, Uruguay, Colombia, and Mexico are the countries that have made the biggest efforts to legalize the personal use of marijuana. But in Chile, the debate over the drug for medicinal purposes is getting more and more forceful. America's Now correspondent Harris Whitback reports from Santiago.
Andrea Acevedo was desperate. Her son Leo's birth had not been easy.
León nació ahogándose, nació con una asfixia. Entonces, a las horas después, sufrió un paro cardiorrespiratorio y el paro lo dejó con daño cerebral.
After several weeks, the baby got worse.
Como al mes de estar en la casa, él empezó a convulsionar. Nosotros no sabíamos, fuimos a muchos médicos, buscamos mucha ayuda y los médicos me decían que tenía cólico, porque como se retorcía, le dolía como la guatita, hasta que el médico que lo vio en la neonatología me dijo, llévalo al neurólogo, y lo vimos y al tiro salió. La neuróloga me dijo, tu hijo tiene un tipo de epilepsia que se llama síndrome de West. Nada, así, a las 2 nada, ninguna crisis.
The doctors in the public hospital near her home in Santiago told her to resign herself to the fact that her newborn son would never lead a normal life.
Y cuando leo lo que significa el síndrome de West, ahí fue mi drama, ahí me quise morir, porque es una enfermedad neurodegenerativa. Cada neurona que él va perdiendo va haciéndole que se olvide de comer, caminar, hablar. Entonces fue como que me hubieran dicho, tu hijo se va a morir, pero de a poco, se va a ir apagando de a poco. Mira, por Pinterest sale mucha información.
So Andrea turned to the internet.
Usa la fundación. Sabe que el cannabis puede aliviar el sufrimiento humano y no hacer nada, ese es el verdadero crimen.
And found marijuana. She read stories of other patients whose symptoms had been cured with the use of oils made from cannabis. Soon she was growing her own plants, distilling her own oils from the leaves, which she fed to her baby 2 to 3 times a day. And her baby started to get better.
Su recuperación así fue como milagrosa. Nosotros con mi mamá el otro día llorábamos porque pudo comer, cosa que no hacía, se rió, cosa que de los 4 meses de vida que tenía en ese momento pudo hacer. Entonces dijimos, esto es, más que nada a la izquierda, más que a la derecha.
Today, Andrea helps hundreds of sick people learn about the medical applications of what in Chile has only been considered a recreational drug. She has fought social stigmas and possible persecution by the police.
Porque yo cultivo para mi hijo. La medicina que yo cultivo es para él. Pero sí siempre existe el temor de que algún vecino te denuncie, que venga carabinero, que venga, te quite la planta, porque ese es mi real miedo, que venga carabinero y me quite la planta y yo me quedo sin mi medicina. ¿Y qué le doy a mi hijo? ¿Dónde salgo a buscar? ¿Qué voy a tener que hacer? Comprarle al traficante, para que no me falte. Entonces eso es lo que nosotros alegamos, porque a nosotros no nos pueden quitar la medicina de nuestro hijo.
Fundación Daya, buenos días.
But she is not alone, and her work has paid off. This field holds the largest legally recognized cannabis plantation in Latin America. Nearly 7,000 stalks of marijuana that is solely used for medicinal purposes. It is run by a foundation that has fought for that right for years, battling Chile's often murky laws concerning marijuana that now recognize its usefulness in treating medical conditions. But that do not fully protect those who have to use it. Ana Maria Gasmuri runs the Daya Foundation. She says properly interpreting the law is crucial to protect the users of medicinal marijuana.
El uso personal está permitido y dentro de ese uso personal, por supuesto que está contemplado cuando es para un tratamiento médico. Y tanto es así que incluso el autocultivo para uso personal y para tratamiento médico está permitido dentro de la actual normativa chilena. ¿Qué ha pasado? Que hasta hace poco tiempo no se interpretaba correctamente la ley, se miraba como el polo negativo de la ley en el sentido de que todo lo que está prohibido, y nos poníamos la atención en lo prohibido y no se está relevando lo que no está prohibido, que por lo tanto está permitido. Entonces es bajo esta grieta, este espacio que nos genera la ley, en que hoy día son miles los pacientes que están ejerciendo su derecho a autocultivar para preparar para sus propios usos medicinales. Y así, esa es la lógica con la que trabajamos en la Fundación.
¿Cómo te ha ido, Alejandra, con tu tratamiento de cannabis?
The foundation runs a clinic that offers trained medical advice as well as tips on cultivating marijuana at home. It also supports scientific research into the medical applications of cannabis. It is not run for profit, but patients do pay small fees to help support its work. Further south in Uruguay, the medical use of marijuana is more advanced, but doctors who prescribe it say it is still an uphill battle. Julia Galderano is one of the few who openly prescribe marijuana for a variety of ailments. A law allowing its use has been on the books in Uruguay since 2012. She says it helped open the debate about its use within the medical community.
Hizo que, bueno, que la gente pudiera hablar del tema, que se pudiera presentar qué tenía que ver con el consumo, qué tenía que ver con la diferencia entre el consumo recreativo, lo que era el consumo complicado, lo que era un uso medicinal, y también hablar de prevención, también hablar qué pasa con los menores de 18 y enfrentar posiciones desde los psiquiatras que decían que, bueno, si se liberaba el cannabis, se regulaba, iba a haber más esquizofrenia, mostrarles que no, que realidad no aumentó en nuestro país por más que ¿qué pasa? Ahora nadie te va a llevar preso a nuestro país por consumir cannabis, por fumar cannabis. Nadie te va a llevar preso si tú tenés plantas, porque tú tenés que registrarte, claro, tenés que tener hasta 8 plantas, tenés que estar registrado, o nadie te va a llevar preso si formás parte de un club que se dedican a cultivar, cosechar y después repartir lo que, si entras dentro de la norma. ¿Tá? Si no estás registrado puedes ser pasible de sanción, sí, claro, pero en realidad es otra cosa.
But for people like Miriam Alvarez, there is no question about its benefits. She had been housebound for years due to severe fibromyalgia.
Y los grandes dolores y las grandes limitaciones, el no poder caminar, el no poderme cortar la carne, el que mi hija me tuviera que bañar. Tuvimos que cambiar de vivienda.
Miriam decided to try cannabis after Julia suggested it to help manage pain. But she resisted at first.
Miedo de volverme una persona drogadicta que necesitara de eso y que en lugar de aliviarme, porque mi meta era tener una mejor calidad de vida. Cuando la doctora me dijo, no, mirá que no es fumar, ni es las hojas, ni son las galletitas, es con aceite. Y con aceite de, bueno, aceite con ese componente que ellas recuerdan las letras y yo no las recuerdo. Y bueno, me tiré al agua.
The results, she says, were nothing short of miraculous.
No te digo que enseguida, no es como mejorar, es como, no sé, 15 días, 8 días, no puedo precisar. No puedo precisar, como tampoco puedo precisar lo que vieron mis hijas en mí. Yo me sentí mejor, me sentí con ganas de salir. Logré salir.
Like Miriam, others are beginning to change their views on a plant that for decades was only seen as a recreational drug.
Yo creo que si es una cosa que proporciona bien, ¿cuál es el problema porque se pueda adoptar? ¿No?
Porque si no tenemos más remedio que aceptar una quimioterapia que lastima por otro lado, y no tenemos más remedio que aceptarla. Si hasta que no surge esto, no había otra cosa, bueno, nos bancamos. Pero la ciencia va avanzando.
Andrea says her baby is living proof of the benefits of being open to non-traditional medicine, even if it involves marijuana. She hopes that there will be more fields like this one across the entire continent, so that others won't have to go through the pain of seeing a loved one suffer with no traditional cure in sight.
Chile and Uruguay are among the countries that are hosting large medical conferences in the coming months. They aim to explore the scientific and legal implications of the increasingly widespread use of medicinal marijuana.
Coming up.
An experimental platform for artists in Mexico.
We have the artists, the creatives, and the musicians, the inventors, the scientists, the bam, bam, bam. This is Platoon.
America's Next.
Welcome back to America's Now. Platoon Mexico City is an experimental venue for Mexican artists. It offers a platform and inspires new thoughts by hosting various art projects, workshops, and cultural events. It's also part of a larger global network trying to connect creative people from all over the world. Its director, Marcelo Dato, is this week's Urban Voice.
But it's not a co-working space. People will come for exhibitions, but it is not a gallery. People will come to see performances, but we're not a theater, or to see movies, but it's not a cinema. So we are a lot of things, but we are not. So what are we now? We are a cultural organization that started early in 2000 from subculture Berlin till now, establishing big spaces, Kunsthallen worldwide to communicate and develop culture. Platoon is the smallest unit that can be deployed in action independently. This is in a military jargon. We like the idea of being operative, to be professionals in actions. So instead of having the engineer that makes explode a bridge and the doctor and the sniper and all this, we have the artists, the creatives, and the musicians, the inventors, the scientists, the bam, bam, bam. This is Platoon.
Why not setting something up?
Mexico is the cultural lighthouse of the Americas, shining in all directions since thousands of years. We see creativity, especially in places, especially disadvantaged places, where people have to figure out with little things how to get by. But if we just would give them a little push, and it's not just about money, really. This is not about money. It's about what we want to do.
One of the first artists to display her work at Platoon is Mar Namahira and her design studio, Hack Interactive.
We want people to forget for their reality for, 30 seconds. No, like walk inside here, it's like, oh, like I'm in a dream, what is happening? I don't understand, but I like it. I want to stay here. We try to do this like people can really see how they are interacting with the piece, how the piece is changing because of they walk or because their heart pulse. It's a different kind of art where we want people to be involved in.
Platoon's hub is located in an old colonial building in the heart of Mexico City.
The legend has it this was first an aristocracy house, then a hospital for mental illness. Then it became a brothel. Spaces like this, they activate your creativity. Many people would just start painting everything white. Others would start to think, let's make a restaurant out of this, or let's make a gallery, or everybody gets really creative. When you invite the creatives, they completely freak out, and this thing explodes in their brain. They want to do things that they never thought of.
Platoon wants to offer a platform to unknown artists, creators, and creative thinkers outside the big museums and galleries. The multimedia designers Johann Timpernagel and Michael Burke represent the German animation studio Schnell Bunt Bilder. For them, the human being must be the center of their work.
Inspired by the theme of this month, reality is boring, we thought it's a nice idea to come up with these virtual characters, 3 virtual characters, which you can control with your movement of your body. It's nice to not only place an artwork in a gallery and say, okay, look at this and that's it, but give something to play and to explore and be part of the artwork yourself.
We enjoy doing this kind of interactive art because it creates an experience that is very special for the individual user or visitor. So everyone interacts in a different way, and so the artwork is different for everyone.
This is a lifestyle. We do it because we believe in it. We believe that people are changing the world through culture because culture influences the society. The society influences the economy. As a reaction, this has an impact on politics, and there you go, we change the world. So it's not as easy as we say it like this, but the process is pretty much possible. So we just want to bring this awareness. Everybody has this creativity. Our strategy has always been to create a cultural hub, a cultural playground almost, where people can meet, exchange ideas, and we can also together think how we can have an impact, a relevance in the society. Alone, I will change a little bit, but together, we're gonna make a blast.
Every month, Platoon Mexico City comes up with a different theme, which leads the program of exhibitions, performances, and conferences.
America's Next.
Finally, we take you to the Pacific Ocean, just off the coast of Mexico to the Revillagigedo Islands. The 4 volcanic islands are known for its unique ecosystem and species. The site was upgraded from a biosphere reserve to a World Heritage Site in July 2016. We leave you with images of this natural treasure. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next week for another edition of America's Now.
on America's Now.
In the highlands around Peru's one-time Inca capital, Cusco, lies Chumbivilcas. Nestled in the countryside, it feels like time has stood still in this historic Andean town. And for many women of a certain age who live here, so too have their lives. They were sterilized as part of a state program 2 decades ago.
These women are just a handful of those forcibly sterilized in a massive nationwide campaign. Some of them already had children. Some of them hadn't even begun to start families. All say they were either tricked or didn't fully understand the consequences of what was being done to them at the time. But they live with those irreversible consequences to this day.
Like many Chilean wine producers, De Martino is seeing a sustained and growing interest from China in the red wines he produces. While they have been in the market for years, Chilean producers have seen a surge in the interest of Chinese consumers.
Lo que nos inspiró es que, bueno, llevábamos mucho tiempo ya en China.
We were inspired when we saw an increase in the consumption of imported wines. People started having a different conception of wines. Reason to drink wine changed. The middle class started to expand, and there was a trend towards consuming more healthful products within the alcoholic beverage category.
Se fueron variando y se fueron expandiendo.